Joining me now from North Carolina is Sky News host James Morrow. James, Kamala still hasn't spoken, hasn't formally admitted defeat. When can we expect to hear from the Vice President? Surely she's still not clinging to some hope of fortifying this election.
Well, Rita, I mean, this was just a shocking performance by the Vice President this evening. I mean, truly, she was like school on Sunday, no class. For her to keep everybody out there waiting till 12:45 and then send some flunky out to say, oh, go home, she's not talking tonight. Now, the subtext of that being, of course, she's probably in a hotel suite somewhere nursing herself with a bottle of Sutter Home wine and a bag of Doritos until she can get over the pain of this whole thing. We have heard that she might come out and say something today. That's what they said. She'll be out today. But this all strikes me as a real example of, potentially denying democracy and questioning an election, which is something that I thought we weren't supposed to do. But, of course, we're talking about Democrats here, so maybe that's okay. The thing is, there's no way for her to, as you say, fortify this election. There's no last-minute ballot drop that can save her. The numbers are simply too big for them to get over any sort of gap with that sort of thing. And as such, CNN, just a couple of hours ago, CNN, which is basically the opposition media here to Trump, they have called it for Donald Trump. They have surrendered. So there's no way through. There's no path. If she doesn't this morning, I think, call publicly Donald Trump, graciously concede and publicly address her followers, I think, this will condemn her legacy, whatever legacy she had, as just, ending out in this complete fizzle. But also, I think it will be, really an indicator that the Democrats are going to go down this darker road, which I've spoken about before, where they start to look for, and this is what I'm really concerned about, Rita, where they start to look for legal ways, i.e. using the legal system, to challenge the vote here, there. You look at what people like Congressman Jamie Raskin have said about this and how, they want to have, essentially civil uprisings against Trump and attempting to not certify the election. And, of course, Kamala Harris is president of the Senate. She has a big role to play in that. So we are getting potentially in some pretty dicey waters.
Doing precisely what they were accusing Donald Trump of doing. It was pure projection the whole time, and we suspected that. Now, President Donald Trump did speak. He thanked his family, his team, his supporters, and he had a few words for his VP pick, J.D. Vance.
I want to be the first to congratulate our great, now I can say, Vice President-elect of the United States, J.D. Vance. And his absolutely remarkable and beautiful wife, Usha Vance. And he is a feisty guy, isn't he? I've said, go into the enemy camp. And the enemy camp is certain networks. And a lot of people don't like to, sir, do I have to do that? He just goes, okay. Which one? CNN, MSDNC? He'll say, all right, thank you very much. He actually looks fine. He's like the only guy I've ever seen. He really looks forward to it. And then he just goes and absolutely obliterates them.
James, J.D. Vance was a controversial choice, but he paid off. The more you saw of the guy, the more you liked him.
Yeah, that's the thing. And I mean, every single Republican vice presidential nominee I have ever seen in my entire lifetime of watching these campaigns always gets destroyed by the media. You can take, anybody and they will just figure out a way to try and destroy them. I was on record, though, from the start of saying J.D. Vance was a great pick, and he really turned out to be. I mean, two things you'd have to say. I mean, number one, that phenomenal debate he had with Tim Walz, where Tim Walz looked like Elmer Fudd. and didn't know what was going on. And J.D. Vance just gave that sort of knowing look to the camera, and everybody sort of loved that. But then also what Trump was talking about there, the way that he would go into those interviews. And I couldn't believe that he kept getting invited on after a little while, the way that he would just forensically demolish these interviewers and just show them up for complete idiots. And I think those performances really went viral on the internet. And a lot of people said, gosh, this guy's really got a brain on him.
You are absolutely right. And Tim Walz was a terrible pick. I can't believe Kamala Harris picked someone who's even more radically left than she is when she had other options. She had much better options, and she ignored them and went for Walz, who was frankly just a little bit too weird for the American voting public. James Morrow, thank you so much for your time this evening.